Hey, I was tagged by one of my lovely and wonderful subscribers, Lucy Skywalker. I will put the link to her channel in the description box, and I will also put her name on the screen so you get the correct spelling. Lucy Skywalker, she has a great channel. She has a very great personality. She has a great sense of style. She wears really beautiful jewelry, beautiful clothing, and she's beautiful as well. So she does makeup tutorials, she does makeup reviews, she does hauls, she does tags. You know, she's a really great person to watch. So I definitely would recommend that you subscribe to her channel. You don't hear me say that very often, and I know she's on her way. You know, keep up the good work, girl. So this tag is called My First Tag. My first word. I think I had to call my mom. She says she thinks that my first word was mom. First friend. I believe it was a boy named Ryan that lived next door. And I was 4 and he was 2. And I remember him, he would follow me to my house because he knew that I had ice cream and I had those, ice freeze pop thingies that you put in the freezer. But he was really sweet. But that's the first person that I remember coming to my house and was actually what I consider to be one of my friends, because you know, a lot of kids, they hung out with me because I had a lot of toys and I had a swing set and I was really nice, and they weren't really my friends. They took advantage of my kindness, but I actually genuinely liked him and he was respectful towards my toys. You know, some other kids were jealous hearted and they would try to, you know, they would throw my stuff in the street and a car would come by and roll over it. So first pet. I got my first pet when throughout my life I had goldfish, but I can't really count that. I don't really consider it to be a pet because you don't really have that much interaction there in water the whole time. But my first official pet was a cat, my cat D. And I adopted D when she was 5. She was a Norwegian forest cat, and she was in a couple of commercials actually. And number 4, first boyfriend. Don't judge me, y'all. Well, I had my first boyfriend when I was 1.5 in preschool. It was this guy. His name was Brian. And my teacher was like, told my mother, they're an item, and he's always kissing on her. And my mother got really mad. She was like, you're a young lady. You don't just let guys put their nasty lips on you. So she went to school the next day and she saw how cute he was. And she was like, well, hello, I see why you let him kiss on you. He's a cutie pie. And we ended up breaking up because I ended up actually going somewhere else to go to school. First fear. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a fear, but I remember when I probably was about 2 or 3 and my mother was like, she would always like to bake cookies on the weekend, peanut butter cookies, butter cookies, sugar cookies. So I would get really excited because anybody that knows me knows I've always been a cookie monster. I've always been addicted to cookies. So I would get really excited and I didn't want to wait for them to get done. And I kept like grabbing at the oven. And she would always stop me and tell me, hot. Then she got to the point where she decided one day to not stop me because she felt like in order for me to actually listen and to be able to understand the concept of what hot was, she went ahead and let me touch the oven. So, how do you know what hot is unless you experience it? A person can tell you hot danger. But yeah, ever since then, I would snatch my hand back and walk far away and go way around the oven. I use great caution to this day. I respect hot, heat, fire, all of that. First job, I was in high school. I worked at Menards. But yeah, I was a cashier. So, you know, we save big money. We save big money when you shop Menards. Like every 5 minutes that song would come on and drove us nuts. And it's, you know, to this day I still have my little smock. I was actually looking for it because I wanted to use visual aids and I had my ID. I couldn't find it either. First phone. Actually, technically, I can answer that in 2 ways, because my first phone, I got a visual aid for this one. It was a house phone. It was a phone that had buttons similar to this, except the telephone was like a light blue color. And it wasn't this same style of phone. It was a small, like rectangular type phone. And it had the same buttons and the same like type of like receiver. Then that was like when I was a kid. Then when I got older and cell phones came out, my first phone was a Nokia, or Nokia some people say. My first cell phone was a Nokia, but it wasn't the flip phone. It looked like one of those house phones, one of those cordless phones. It didn't fold up. It wasn't a flip phone. It was all one piece. And it probably was about this long. It was a really big phone, okay? You can dial all the way up to outer space. And then it was a Nokia. And at the time, my service provider was Singular. You all remember Singular? Singular was bought out by AT&T. First alcoholic drink. My first alcoholic drink was probably a beer, because sometimes, you know, when my parents they were both beer drinkers. Sometimes when they would leave a little beer, I would, like, you know, pick it up and sip. To this day, I'm not really a beer drinker, because to me, I don't like the way it tastes. I mean, to me, it looked like piss and it smelled like piss, and I'm not interested in drinking that. That's really not my drink. For those of y'all that drink beer, have at it, to each his own. That's not really my thing. First thing I do when I wake up, is I use the bathroom. Then after that, I get on the computer and check my email. I know that sounds bad. I know that I sound like I'm addicted to technology, but I'm sure a lot of people do that. So this concludes my first take. And those of you who thought I was going to be talking about my first time, y'all need to get y'all mind out the gut. You know, a lady never tells. So y'all, you all that were clicking on this video for that purpose, sorry to disappoint you, kiddo. It ain't that type of video. So if you guys want to do this tag your it. Check out my girl Lucy Skywalker. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Y'all take care now. Bye.